This is 6.4 miles from the Costco Business Center. This is literally the closest I've ever seen two Costco's being next to each other. Something I've never seen Costco do. To me, that sounds like a lack of strategy early on in the process. And they, in turn, have this Costco Business Center, which, in my opinion, is meant to service the city of Detroit. What they could have done was actually put that Costco Business Center in Detroit because that's who they're serving. They're serving Detroiters with that Costco Business Center, but yet they decided not to build it in the city of Detroit. So now they're going to be cannibalizing their Costco Business Center with this new Supercenter that they're opening less than 7 miles away because the Supercenter offers a lot more, but yet people are able to get to that location with just an extra few minutes of a drive. It seems like their strategy was not well thought out with the Costco Business Center. Costco is opening up yet another store in Southfield, 10 minutes away from the Costco Business Center that they recently opened, I don't know, less than 2 years ago. The Costco Business Center is actually the first one in Michigan, and it's located just outside of the city of Detroit, right at the old Northland shopping center. With Costco spending millions of dollars on the Costco Business Center in Southfield, but yet just recently announcing that they're wanting to complete a full service center roughly 7 miles away from the Costco Business Center in Southfield yet again is a bit strange, to be honest. Why would you spend all of that money? Why would you spend that energy putting that business center where you put it at? But yet, a few years later, you decide to, in a way, cannibalize the Costco Business Center and create a full service facility roughly 10 minutes away. Costco could have just built the business center in Detroit proper because they're tapping into the city of Detroit's customer base as is. But for whatever reason, they're just not comfortable building within the city of Detroit's borders. This article is by Fox 2 News, and this is from November 12th of this year. Southfield planning documents show a proposal to build a Costco warehouse off Northwestern Highway. It would be the second Costco to come to the city since the business center opened. The location would include a gas station and nearly 900 parking spots. Why didn't they just go for the gusto to begin with? This is going to cannibalize Costco's business center. And so I'm just trying to understand what the long-term strategy is for the business center at this point. Plans for a new Costco are before the planning department in Southfield with a proposal to build the department store near Telegraph. So this is where they're proposing this new Costco to be located. Pretty much this whole block here, with the exception of this plot of land here. So it's all of this land. These two buildings would essentially be demoed, and the new Costco would once again be located actually right behind the old Star Southfield. If you're familiar with this area here, this is the old Star Southfield that now is currently owned and operated by Triumph Church. Here's a proposed rendering of the site as well. Building plans posted by the city include using approximately 20.5 acres. That's a lot of land to construct a warehouse that's 166,000 square feet, as well as a gas station, and it also is going to include nearly 900 parking spots. The site comes 2 years after Southfield opened another location off Northland. Let's see how far that is in comparison to this location. This says 11 minutes, but this is only because we're having a snowstorm right now. This is 6.4 miles from the Costco Business Center. This is literally the closest I've ever seen two Costco's being next to each other. Something I've never seen Costco do. To me, that sounds like a lack of strategy early on in the process. And they, in turn, have this Costco Business Center, which, in my opinion, is meant to service the city of Detroit. What they could have done was actually put that Costco Business Center in Detroit because that's who they're serving. They're serving Detroiters with that Costco Business Center, but yet they decided not to build it in the city of Detroit. So now they're going to be cannibalizing their Costco Business Center with this new Supercenter that they're opening less than 7 miles away, because the Supercenter offers a lot more, but yet people are able to get to that location with just an extra few minutes of a drive. It seems like their strategy was not well thought out with the Costco Business Center. One of the things I do want to point out is that Costco is going after, in this scenario, 20.5 acres of land to construct this warehouse. The city of Detroit does not have that easy of access to land that is assembled contiguously to be able to provide this scenario as easily as Southfield can. Big box retailers also try to avoid brownfield cleanup, right? They try to avoid sites that potentially used to be warehouses, so they don't in turn need to worry about any type of environmental issues. They're also a big fan of infrastructure, specifically roads, and the city in some cases don't necessarily have as good of roads as some of our suburbs have. It's also a little different when it comes to permitting and in terms of being able to make something like a Costco happen. It's definitely doable. Don't get me wrong. You got a number of Myers here in the city of Detroit. You got a Home Depot. You have a few big box retailers that are doing really, really well, but the city had to kind of figure out in real time how to allow for these types of entities to build out their space and to operate. Whereas a city of Southfield kind of already understands how to kind of fast track these types of opportunities to in turn help build their tax base up. Not to mention the political risk that potentially could be associated with a concept such as this. With the city of Detroit and city council focusing on small business, this concept would get a bit of pushback from city council as well as residents, whereas something like this in Southfield is already typical and something that the communities can digest a lot easier and can accept, whereas the city of Detroit would have a number of community engagement sessions and demands for Costco to be built within whatever community it finds itself being built within. The Southfield Planning Department received the site plan for a Costco warehouse in October, and it is scheduled to hear the proposal on the 19th of November, which I'm not sure if they approved or denied it, but I'm assuming they approved it. I didn't hear any pushback since this article came out. A little different from the warehouse, the Costco Business Center offers products in greater quantity and services other businesses. They also don't sell alcohol, clothing, books, or have a gas station, right? And so back to my point of why even have a Costco Business Center to begin with within the proximity of this Supercenter warehouse that you're building a few miles north. According to Costco's website, the company has 7 locations in the immediate Metro Detroit region, including Madison Heights, Southfield, Livonia, and a few other locations. Now, what's intriguing about this is even though there is a Costco Business Center in Southfield, a lot of people I know who are in the suburbs don't go to the Costco Business Center due to the fact that they don't offer everything a full supercenter or warehouse does. Gas, groceries, clothing, and so most people find themselves in the burbs going to either the Madison Heights location or the Livonia location, at least specifically in Southfield and in Oak Park and kind of those suburbs, right? Right outside of the city of Detroit. I'm a Costco member, but I don't actually go to the business center because of the exact reason. I actually live on the west side, and so I go to the Livonia center or warehouse pretty often, right? And so I'm still trying to understand why they even built the Costco Business Center to begin with.
For years, Northland Mall in Southfield has sat empty and abandoned, but now a popular wholesale store is moving in. Ibrahim Samra has the story.
It was known as the region's first ever shopping center.
It was like one of the first malls here.
Now the old Northland Mall sits in scattered construction.
Man, this Northland Mall, tons of land and so many memories, as this was a mall that as a kid growing up in Oak Park, we spent a lot of time at the mall. Consumer behavior is a little different now. Consumer behavior has changed drastically since I was a kid. We used to spend hours hanging out in this mall, eating at the food court, talking to girls, doing all the types of things that you would do at the mall, like you'd see in those 80s and 90s movies that we're so fond of. It was unfortunate that this mall ended up meeting its demise, but I do see that this is probably the reality of most malls in America, since everybody is not going in and shopping in person anymore. You can just go to Amazon and buy whatever you want. And if something doesn't fit, you can always send it back. And not just Amazon, but you can go directly to Macy's.com, Nike. You can go to all of these different platforms and you're able to in turn order what you want and ship back what doesn't fit you, right? Whereas back in my days, we used to have to go into the mall and try everything on and make the decision in person, right? But this site has a lot of potential based off of where it's located at. And so I can understand from that angle why Costco decided to put a business center here. But why didn't they just put the full service Supercenter / warehouse at this location as opposed to just the business center?
Memories of history. This is real history right here.
But after a newly approved plan, developers say this piece of history will soon see a new Costco Business Center.
Oh, it's going to be a Costco there? All right, cool. There's a Costco there. That's nice.
But that's not all. Southfield City Planning says the first phase of its $403 million plan will include more than 1,500 additional new housing units for rent across 14 planned buildings. Deontay Streeter, who lives just down the street, says the news leaves him both excited.
I have to see what's in there, like what's going to be in the plaza. So I'm going to have to go far if all my resources are going to be there.
But also concerned.
I don't want the rent to go too high here from everything there. That's one of my main concerns because it's like we're already paying a little bit here.
As for Keith Williams,
the amount of development that is slated for that location. And this video is roughly 3 years old. So I do want to point out that every single facet of development has been affected in the last year or so with regard to price increases due to tariffs, due to the increase of skilled trades, logistics. It's not easy to develop to a point where I've seen a number of projects that were announced in 2023, 2024 find themselves in a scenario where they had to either cut back on their overall vision or the project is completely stalled and there may not necessarily be a project anymore.
Northland Mall has always been home for him.
Mother, she was a part of this actual mall when it was built. It was a Marshall Fields here. She worked there. A Target, my mom worked there. Then you had the Macy's store, my mom worked there also. So since a little kid, I always had memories growing up here.
One that he is anxious
Absolutely.
to see come together once again.
Everybody in this area is really waiting to see for years what it was going to be. Everybody would think it would be an Amazon or whatever, but to actually like see what.
How crazy is that? We thought this mall, the first mall in America, was going to actually be converted into an Amazon warehouse, right? I mean, complete 180, where you had this mall where everybody would go in person, spend a day, grab a bite to eat, go to a number of these different small businesses and walk out with whatever they were looking at purchasing at that time. Fast forward to 2025, or in this scenario, in early 2020s, we did think that this was going to be an Amazon warehouse, which would have been pretty ironic if that were to actually happen.
The ideas of this place is it's going to be like a living area / shopping center. That's going to be a great positive change for this community. Again, we need that.
Yeah, I just don't understand the overall strategy here. I think they potentially shot themselves in the foot when they opened the business center and ultimately came to the conclusion or came across this opportunity to open a full warehouse a few miles north. And so they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with that business center sooner or later. I'm really glad that they're putting this warehouse in Southfield, as it's going to be an easier track for me to be able to go to this location as opposed to the Livonia location. However, trying to understand why they even built the business center in the first place. I think that the strategy that they implemented was a bit short sighted, and they could have in turn served their organization as well as the city of Detroit better. I know that for a fact they put that business center close by the city of Detroit to in turn take advantage of the Detroit dollar. And if that were the case, and if they were to know that they were going to be putting a full warehouse just a few miles north, they might as well have taken the chance at actually putting that business center in the city of Detroit as opposed to right on the borderlines of the city. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate you listening to me ramble, and I'll see you in the next video.